Hi, friends. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We're so glad you joined us. We're so glad you tuned in. This is where we take a fresh look at different topics that are presented. And hopefully after this brief hour we get to spend with one another, we're a little bit changed, a little bit closer to God. That's what Take Two is all about. It doesn't mean it takes two of us, Jerry and I, to do the show. It means we take a second look at things. Your takes are what drive the show. I'm Debbie Georgiani, and I'm with the one, the only, Jerry Usher. Hi, Jerry. How you doing?
Well, the world is glad there's only one and only. I'm doing well. Thank you. Good to be back with you, and good to be with all of you who are listening. Thank you so much. And Debbie, a lot of people are going to really resonate with today's topic. I have no doubt about it.
Absolutely. We're talking about the bittersweet feelings of retirement. This show was actually inspired by my sister, who recently retired after 42 years of full-time employment. She never ever complained. She used to get up very early in the morning, and she would drive 45 minutes each way in traffic. And in Arizona, that's tough. Now, she did get to ride. She had those special license plates where she got to ride in is it called the HOV lane, Jerry? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think it varies in different places, but it used to be the carpool lane. Yeah.
The carpool lane, right. So, but she drove there 45 minutes each way for many, many years, and we were all excited when we knew her last day was coming and she was going to retire. And on the day she retired, I actually, as a good sister would do, I called her up and I said, "Congratulations! How does it feel?" And she goes, "A bit strange." Because she had to turn over all of her stuff, her credentials and all that kind of stuff, the computer that she had and stuff like that. And so it felt awkward. But yet she's loving retirement because she can focus on her grandchildren and she doesn't have to wake up, before the crack of dawn and get on the road. And so that's wonderful. But I'm wondering, Jerry, if others have felt that way. If you're listening right now and you went through the retirement experience, maybe you're back at work again. Some people go back into work because they want to do something in addition to being retired. And it felt awkward. It felt different. It was you were happy, you were thrilled, but then there was a part of you that almost felt like a little bit sad. We want to hear from you. Here's the number, 833-288-3986.
Yeah, whether it's you've retired from the workforce, maybe you were a career in the military, maybe you retired and then became a volunteer somewhere and then retired from that, so you kind of had a double retirement in your life. What was it like? I mean, Debbie, they say for a lot of people it's very traumatic. There have been stories of people not living long after retiring. Mm-hmm. I don't really know why. I didn't delve into that, but I imagine maybe a part of it gets at just a sense of, am I worth anything anymore? I'm not being productive. And this is really touches upon God and our faith, because we have worth and dignity whether we're working or not. And I'd love to hear from anybody. What was your experience? As you approached that retirement day, were you anxious? Were you excited? And once you got retired, did you just start doing all those wonderful things that you didn't have time to do before? 833-288-EWTN. Because if you've been through this experience, there are people approaching it right now, or maybe many years off, Debbie, who are going to be, taking away a lot of wisdom from this discussion.
Oh, absolutely. And Jerry, I've heard it many times, and it's quite sad, actually, where folks have worked their whole entire life and they can't wait to retire to start to travel. And right after retirement, within a couple months, they were diagnosed with a disease or something like that, and they soon after that passed away. That's what happened to my dad. And it's very, 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 very sad, because they had waited their whole life, to do these things that they could do in their leisure time. And then there's others that like Marty and I mean, we don't ever envision us retiring, simply because we're probably not in a financial position to ever retire. So we're probably going to work all the way until our very last breath. I don't know how have you viewed retirement, Jerry?
Well, actually, you bring up a good point, and that is, we'd love to hear from people who, how did the planning go for you? Maybe you thought you could retire, and you did, and all of a sudden you thought, whoops, that was a little bit early, and maybe you had to go back to work. For me personally, Debbie, I've shared this before. I have a couple of very modest IRAs with the Knights of Columbus. I just try and add a little bit to those each year. I feel healthy. I think I'm a ways away from retiring, and I just hope and pray that when that day comes, the provisions are there. I know that God will provide, but you have to be prudent and a good steward along the way, and plan and put some resources away.
Right, right. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's very interesting discussion. Phone lines are already lighting up. That's a good sign. So when a line becomes open, jump in. We actually have one open right now, so you can call in. Here's the number, 1-833-288-3986. Yesterday was Sibling Day. And so social media was just ablaze, just with pictures of siblings. So to all those siblings out there, that was awesome day to say, thanks, Mom and Dad, for having a brother or sister. I think that was a really great day. This is Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, and we'll be right back.
Teresa Tomeo.
It's our goal to help each and every listener take this beautiful faith of ours out into the public square with great ideas on making a difference through engaging the culture.
The leading Catholic voices are on EWTN Radio.
Podcasting is an easy way to automatically receive your favorite EWTN programs on your mobile device. Visit EWTN.com/podcast and enjoy your favorite EWTN shows on your mobile phone right now.
Living the Beatitudes with Father Bjorn.
Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. I Can't Get No Satisfaction is a popular song, but it could be a summary of our life on earth. In the book of Genesis, we hear that we're made in the image and likeness of God. That means that we can know the truth and we can choose to do good to others. We can love. It comes to fulfillment in the Sermon on the Mount where we hear these Beatitudes. It's the standard of the Christian life. Jesus tells us that if we hear what he says and do what he tells us to do, we will be like wise people who build our house on solid rock. But we make progress towards happiness and blessedness by our actions, and it starts with our interior disposition, what we want to choose. Do you and I hunger and thirst for those things that will lead us to happiness and to God? Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied.
EWTN. Live truth. Live Catholic.
Quick reminder for you that on The World Over with Raymond Arroyo tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. It is, part of the Papal Posse. Maybe it looks like the whole Papal Posse. Father Gerald Murray and Robert Royal, they will discuss Pope Francis's latest apostolic exhortation, Rejoice and Be Glad. So you don't want to miss that discussion with Raymond Arroyo and Father Murray and Robert Royal. And also, Dr. Carrie Cronin talks about the lost art of dating and courtship in modern culture, and the new film, The Dating Project. It features her work to promote traditional dating. And then Father Murray and Robert Royal discuss Rejoice and Be Glad, and that is all coming up on The World Over tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on EWTN, TV and radio.
I look forward to The World Over. Don't you, Jerry?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Raymond is... He covers the deep stuff, and he covers it well with his guests.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, very gifted. There is an open phone line. I can't believe it. So call in right now if you feel prompted by the Spirit to weigh in on the bittersweet feelings of retirement. 833-288 EWTN, and you can pick up that other line. There it goes. See how fast we are as a Take Two family? Okay, Pat was first up in South Carolina listening on Sirius XM 130. Hi, Pat. Thank you so much for being first up. And what's your feelings about retirement?
Well, as I was telling the gentleman I spoke with, I taught in public school for 28 years, and it's just a very intense schedule because it was elementary. And so when I quit teaching, we have the summers off, so I just had a great time. I felt wonderful. I was just so thankful to God for this, chance to do something different now. And then toward the end of the summer, I thought, Lord, I can't just indulge myself in what I want to do. What do you want me to do? And so I started looking around for volunteer opportunities, and I started volunteering at Life Choices, which is a pregnancy crisis center in our little town. And then I volunteer at my parish, and that made the biggest difference because I feel like God is using me. And I'm not just indulging myself. I still do fun things that I like, but I feel like I'm building the kingdom.
Yeah. Well, that's right on, Pat. And so many people do that. And, we hear about it. What's that old saying? I'm busier now when I'm retired than I was when I was working. We hear so many people say that.
It's true.
Well, it sounds like it's true in your life. And thank you. Thank you, Pat, for doing that. Because, see, a person may retire at whatever age, early retirement, later in life. That does not mean the end of your productivity, and it certainly does not mean that you can't make yourself available to serve the kingdom of God. And Debbie, as someone who's worked for the church and in the church most of your life, this has got to be music to your ears.
Oh, absolutely. And I just want to say thank you for all the years of shaping minds and helping young souls go out there and be prepared for their future. Thank you for all you. I've often said this, Jerry, and you've heard me say it a million times. I think there's a special place in heaven for teachers and nurses. I just do. You guys just do great work.
Yeah, it's a wonderful, wonderful career. I really, truly enjoyed it.
Right. Well, now you get to experience that ministry bug. And when you have that, it is just so addicting in a great way for God. And I love that, Pat. And it's great where God's going to take you on it, because not only are you able to still use your gifts and your talents to help others, but you'll be formed as well, which is wonderful. That's a win-win all the way around it from a spiritual sense. So way to go, Pat. I think that's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat, for the phone call. Appreciate that. All right, we're going over to Buffalo, New York. The Station of the Cross carries Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, and that's where Don is listening today. Hello, Don. Welcome to the program.
Hi, folks. Nice to talk to you folks again.
Likewise.
I'm the one that calls on occasion there from good old near Buffalo, New York, and always enjoy your programming and whatever. Your topics can be quite enlightening.
We love Buffalo, too, by the way.
Yeah, got to wait for the big warm-up here. Of course, by the end of the week, it's been pretty crazy. Debbie, you're putting up that with that 90-some degree. Well, both of you put up in that 90-some degree weather already. Man, oh, man, we hit it here once in a while, but I give you folks credit for where you live.
Oh, well, blessed be God.
So what's your take on this, Don?
Pardon me?
I said, what's your take on this retirement?
Yeah, I decided to do it about a year and a half ago. I said, well, this is enough working in a factory for most of my life, whatever else. I said, well, whatever. And well, I'm trying to adjust the best I can. I'm volunteering down for Catholic Charities there once a month, and I hope to do a little more volunteering. You get into a routine otherwise, enjoy, of course, watching the Mass every day if I don't make it to Mass, and a lot of the EWTN's programming, of course, with you folks and whatever else. And, it just takes an adjustment to do. And of course, helping at church. I should have said that, too, because we have our big Maple Fest down in Franklinville. I'm not sure if you know where that is, but I'm not that far from Franklinville, but we'll be involved with the church with that, whatever activities has to be done with that. So,
well, Don, let me ask you a question. Don, you mentioned it's an adjustment, and it has to be for everybody. If you could kind of point to maybe what was the biggest part of that adjustment? Was it maybe not knowing you didn't have to get up when you used to in the morning, or was it a physical adjustment, mental, emotional? What was the one key part of that for you?
Boy, Jerry, I could probably say a couple of the things anyway.
Sure, go ahead.
Well, the physical, I don't really miss because it's a lot, pretty heavy work, doing it for 8 hours a day and involved with alternators, of course. I could say it that way, but I guess that probably was maybe the biggest thing compared to mentally. I still wake up early. Of course, I remember when my dad was on the farm. After he retired, God bless his soul, he's gone now, but just to want to sleep later if you want to. But then I see, well, you got stuff on, the EWTN and enjoy this programming on there when it's on early and whatever. So I guess it's basically more physical than mental at this point.
Well, yeah, and that and that helps you, Don, that you're able to create your own schedule, so you could get in your own type of rest and exercise and stuff like that, and that's really good. I'll tell you what, though, what's interesting, Don and Jerry, I have heard it said that when folks retire after many years of a specialized employment where they have identified with their skills and talents that they've had on the work in the workforce. When they go into volunteering, sometimes whoever the volunteer coordinator is, and I was a volunteer coordinator for many years, so I know that this can be true. Sometimes we don't utilize everybody's gifts and talents to the best of their ability and for the good of the community, and that can be unfortunate. So I think it's important. I wonder, Don, when you go to volunteer, do they realize all the things that you've done, all the years that you've done them, and how good you were at work? I'm sure you were, if you were able to retire, and it sounds like you went off with a glowing feeling.
I don't know if it's so much glowing, but I'm not sure. They know where I did work. I don't know if they know the talents. Like I say, it was more physical. I just didn't have the brains to really be working in an office or something like that. But of course, with and what I do with help unloading the trucks, whatever, it keeps me physically active too in that respect. And then, of course, like I say, otherwise with recreational, just try to get my walks in when I can, and whatever. So, well, Debbie, I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, you sure did, Don.
You did. It was beautiful.
Excellently, Don. You've contributed a lot. Thank you so much for sharing your perspective on this. Thanks for all your years of work, hard work, and labor. And I know that was done, it's out of great devotion to God first and to your company. So thank you, Don. We appreciate that, and hearing from you again in the Buffalo area. Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, talking today about the retirement experience. How did that go for you? How did it feel? Were you just elated and said, I thank God I couldn't wait to get out of my job, or I couldn't wait to be retired? Or were there some challenges, adjustments for you? And have you gotten maybe into volunteering? Maybe you found yourself, you had to go back to work. 833-288-EWTN. And what part did your prayer life, your discernment play in all of this too? Cammie is in Erie, Colorado, listening on Denver Catholic Radio. Next on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Hi, Cammie. Welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Great.
I just love listening to you every morning.
Oh, bless your heart.
And I am retired after 43 years with our public school system here in our little town of Erie, Colorado, and loved every minute of it. Everything was godsend. But I am enjoying retirement because it kind of frees up my calendar. I was an administrative assistant at our high school. Loved the people that I worked with. Always explained to anybody, as far as an administrator who came into the office, that I was Catholic. There were many times when I would go in and I would ask or let them know that I had a church service to go to. And I enjoy retirement because of the fact it is now giving me time to sit down, ponder my religion, and pray.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Cammie, for first of all, for the kind words you said about the show. We really appreciate it. And thank you for all the work you've done in the school system. That is so appreciated. But when you said 43 years, and you said you were from a small town. Yeah. Did they give you a big send-off? Yes. And here's the other thing. If you're in a small town, you probably still communicate and talk and see everybody, right?
Oh, yes. There are many times when we go, my husband and I go to activities still at our high school, because this is our high school alma mater, let's say, and we still keep in touch with people that are up at the school. Beautiful teachers. Education is changing a lot. Just a small town, get to see children of coming to school and connecting as families.
That must just warm your heart that you were a part of that. That's amazing.
It does, and it's been a blessing. And every day as I would go to school, I would always ask God to please send me someone that I could help that day, whether it be an adult, a child, a coworker, whoever it may be, even a parent coming in that has been frustrated with something, just some kind words for them. But I love being part of our little church. We're St. Scholastica here in Erie, Colorado. We have a wonderful priest and wonderful, wonderful parishioners.
Awesome. Cammie, you've reminded me, I grew up in a very small town as well, about 500 people actually, and in the top 4 grades of my high school, there were less than 150 students. That's all 4 grades combined. And I remember, we'd drive through the little towns in that area, and we'd drive by, Mr. Garrity's house, and Mr. Suter lives over there, and, the band teacher lives, and we knew these people. We could stop by, and the point I'm getting to is even after they retired, they stayed involved. They would come to games, and even our high school principal today, we're friends on Facebook, and he's the one who kind of still coordinates the annual class reunions and things like that. So I love that bond that you're describing, Cammie, and I think it's wonderful. You don't see it as it's just a job, just a paycheck. The way you've approached it and the way these teachers that I talked about approached it. Debbie, this highlights what you say about the special place in heaven for teachers and nurses because they really dedicate themselves to what they do.
They invest themselves in people and souls and in the community. And that's exactly what you're doing, Cammie. And now you're in a great parish. I mean, you have a great parish, a great parish community. Now this is an awesome time for you to what you just said, continue on with your faith formation. I love it. Cammie, way to go. Thank you so much. Call anytime. We love you too. You said you love the show. Well, we love you too because you drive the show. So thank you for calling in, Cammie. We appreciate it. I love Colorado. Tell your pastor maybe we'd love to come up and do the show on location up there. I think Colorado is gorgeous. Okay. Thank you, Cammie. Harold, you've been waiting so patiently in Peoria, Illinois on St. Bernadette Radio. Harold, take it away. Welcome to Take Two.
Hello.
Hello.
I just want to say how much I've enjoyed EWTN. It's really made a difference in my life. Coming to retirement, I had a job. I started with a company when I was 18. After 35 years, they told me that I either had to retire or lose my retirement benefits. So I retired. Of course, I was a bit angry about that. Had a job that I truly loved, was a engineer. Then after I retired, shortly my mom came down with cancer, so I was able to take care of her. My dad had already passed. And after Mom passed, I got a call to come back and do consulting work for various companies. So I ended up making more money than I would have if I'd have stayed. So, because I was enjoying my retirement from the company, plus also getting paid. But at first, when I retired, because my job was so intense, I never really knew when there was going to be a problem with the product. I was on 24-hour call 7 day a week. My wife told me that we had a house that had a wall dividing 2 parts of the house, but it had a doorway on each end that I would pace around just maybe an hour. I would be just walking around, because it was like, I know the phone's going to ring any time now. That lasted for about 3 months. And finally, I found out that about 2 miles away from me, they had just finished the Order of St. John's monastery about Princeville, Illinois, so it was only a ways away. I got involved with that and was invited to take classes with the monks. So I got to take all the classes with the monks, really got into my spirituality, became an oblate, and have enjoyed myself since. Since I did have a master's in clinical and counseling psychology, I decided to do a little bit of work. I went into doing hypnosis work with folks to quit smoking, lose weight, and then I would talk to them about their spirituality. So I have just really loved my life since retirement.
Go ahead, Deb.
I would advise anyone do not feel like it's the end of the world, and many do, particularly when they're forced out after so many years. It's like you've been kicked in the teeth.
Well, and Harold, that's what I was referring to when we were talking with Don. When I said, Don, you should be, so happy that you had this retirement and you went off in a glowing fashion, because so many people are forced to retire, and that can be really, really hard. And so you have a fascinating story. There's just so many elements to this story. I think that have been God's hand was all over it, and it worked out well for you. So there's more to say about all of this, about retirement. I just want to thank you so much, Harold. We're going to let you go. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Jerry and I will comment after we come back after this short pause, and we'll get to the other phone calls. Keep calling. This is Take Two with Jerry and Debbie talking about retirement today.
Jumpstart your faith. Now coming to a parish conference or retreat near you, world-renowned Catholic radio host Jerry Usher.
It's not enough to stop doing whatever it is that's keeping you from union with God. For most of us, there are serious issues that need to be addressed first in order to be able to embrace that life of virtue. All those things we're all called to, but which every one of us struggles to achieve.
Invite Jerry Usher today. Contact thirdmillenniummedia.com.
I know Carmelite nuns who get a call from their Mother Superior every June telling them where they're going to be assigned in the year ahead. And even if they know they're probably not going to be transferred, before that call, they're supposed to pack up all their belongings and wait for the phone to ring. It's an exercise in detachment from the world. We all go through that in our own ways, don't we? Maybe sometimes, something becomes unstable in our current jobs, or a new opportunity opens up, or we have a financial crash that forces us to rebudget everything, or we go on a job interview, or maybe get a call from a doctor with some disturbing news. Even if those experiences don't pan out to be anything, and they usually don't overlook their importance. That's God reminding us that, in the end, this world isn't our home. And if you get too attached to the little comforts you surround yourself with, you won't be available to God's grace and His call in your life. Stay open. This is Chris Stefanik from RealLifeCatholic.com on EWTN Radio.
Catholic radio, I believe, is the greatest tool for evangelization that the church has today. And I know this because we hear from people all over the world that tell us all the time they came to faith in Christ, in the Catholic Church, through Catholic radio. Guy that lives right next door to you, he might not ask you about your Catholic faith, but he'll ask us. He'll call in and say, tell me about the Catholic Church.
Dr. David Anders thinks Catholic radio is important. So should you.
I'm Brian Patrick with Dr. Gracie Christie in tomorrow for Gloria Purvis. Father Bjorn Lundberg is our godly counsel, and Tim Staples talks about Catholic homeschooling. Morning Glory on EWTN Radio. Now back to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
We're so glad you're with us here on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Jerry Usher, Debbie Georgiani, our show team, Rich, Matt, Jeff, behind the scenes there. So many others at EWTN, the affiliates. Thank you, affiliates, for carrying the program. Thank you for your listenership and your participation, because lines continue to be full for this discussion about your retirement experience. And you can weigh in when a line becomes available at 833-288-EWTN. So Mary and Elias and Sandy and John and Kathy, you're all in the queue. We're going to get to you. I just wanted to mention real quick comment on Harold's call, Debbie. I just thought it was fantastic because he mentioned he was a little bit angry when he was let go by or given that option by his company and kind of forced out. And then look, I believe he said his mother got ill with cancer. He was free to help her. And then these other opportunities came up that were actually even better than what he had before, and he had just really a good overall situation. And I think sometimes we think something that happens, is really is a negative thing, being let go by his job like that, and it could certainly feel that way. But God is so good about that. He creates, moments and periods in our lives for just what he needs us to do at that time. And so I just thought that was beautiful, the way that God wove that all together for Harold.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. When you said that, Jerry, and I was hearing Harold's story, I was thinking to myself, God's hands were all over it. God allowed certain situations to happen, and that's why for us as Catholic Christians, it's our response to when these things happen. And Harold went with it, and look how beautiful it turned out. So thank you again, Harold, if you're listening still. Your take, really, I know we're already getting text messages and stuff coming in on social media responding to your call, because it really helped others. This is how we learn from one another. It's a peer ministry. So let's go back to the phones and see what Mary has to say in Ohio on Living Bread Radio. Hi, Mary. Thank you so much for waiting so patiently. You're now on the air on Take Two. Hi, Mary.
Hi, Mary.
Hello.
Hey, how are you? Oh no, Mary.
Oh, Mary.
Don't hang up on us. We're nice.
Yeah. Is it something we said? Yeah. Mary, call back, and we'll get you to the front of the line. Yeah.
Okay, who's up next?
Who's up is Elias in Foxburg, Pennsylvania, listening on the Station of the Cross. Hi, Elias. You got in because Mary dropped off. Welcome to Take Two.
Sorry about that, Mary. And some of your callers have just fine people. I can relate to, bless their hearts. I can relate to Harold. But anyway, I'm 64. I was raised Christian. I'm a Protestant. Although I haven't gone to church in years, but I pray a lot more now and things like that. But my oldest sister, if she would be upset if I told her she's 70, but she just announced her retirement this year. And her last position, she's been a special ed teacher's assistant. And, I wouldn't last a week doing that. As you said, Debbie, the teachers are special people. I mean, particularly, I think, the ones that teach students with disabilities. And my other sister, she'll be mad too, but she's 68. She just had her 45th anniversary flying for United Airlines.
Wow.
I said, can't believe it. I said, Jen, it's time to hang up the wings there, girl. But, people work as they want to work. Now, in my case, I worked for 37 years in the logistics field, and the last company was a steel company. I had worked for two major steel companies, a railroad, a trucking company, and everything. But at 60, my office was next to the general managers, even though I was a low to mid-level manager. That was an accident. But he called me in at 10 to noon one day, and there were two HR people there. And I had spent 12 years with this company, although I had worked for two other times, the steel company. And of course, steel has struggled for years in the U.S. That's why Trump is, again, putting tariffs on steel and aluminum for imports. But he called me in with the two HR people and said, Jay, I'm sorry, but your job's abolished. And there were two big security guys out in the hall outside his office. I had been looking at them because I didn't know who they were and what they were doing there. We were just standing around. But anyway, he said, you have to pack up now and leave. I mean, right now. So I was totally shocked, and I handled it well. Even one of the security men, who was an ex-Pennsylvania state policeman and very nice man, he said, you handled it with dignity. And I told myself, why get mad? I mean, it's not going to make any difference. But I was well thought of. It was nothing that I did. I mean, people from the floor were coming, crying. But anyway, that was a tough way to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it sounds like it was, Elias. We're sorry that happened to you, and I really don't know why companies do that. I mean, you mentioned that as far as you know, there was nothing that you had done to cause that. I think, Debbie, sometimes companies just, I guess, out of nervousness or
it's standard operating procedure.
Well, yeah, it's a fear
really
of how
is.
an employee might react. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but thank you.
I think it's through all sort of tech. They don't want you to take computer information and things like that. Right. And I'm pretty much a computer nerd. I mean, I did the basics, but there was no. I was going to steal computer files because I wouldn't have known how to have done that anyway. Mm-hmm. But By the way, my sisters, during all this working time, they took care of my mother, who lived to be 97. She spent the last 20 years in California with one of my sisters. They took care of my dad, who died of liver cancer, and they took care of my brother, who died at the age of 40, 28 years ago, 6 months after my dad, of a brain tumor. He left 5 kids, and they all live in Phoenix. They're all great, doing great. They're great kids. But how my sisters...
Yeah.
Well, that's about all I had to say.
Elias,
so I'll just hang up
Elias, I just want to say something. We mentioned that it was Sibling Day yesterday, and you clearly have a great love for your family and an appreciation and gratitude for all they've done. It's so beautiful. Your sisters can't be mad at you for sharing how much you love them. You're a great brother. We keep a book for the living and the deceased. I already put your entire family. I put Elias's family in the book. God knows your whole family. Would you like to give the names of those that have passed? We would love to enter just their first names. We'd love to enter them in the book. We believe in the power of prayer, and it really unites us as a family of believers.
Well, that would be so nice. My mother's name was Henrietta. My dad's name was David, and my brother was David II. I have to hang up. Thank you.
Okay, Elias. We're with you in prayer. We love you, and thank you for calling.
Yeah.
Wow.
What a beautiful heart, though. That is just a beautiful soul, beautiful man of God, right there, Elias. And the only other thing I would mention, and just encourage, this is just a suggestion, Elias, if you're still listening. You mentioned that. You haven't been to church for many years, I think you said, and I'm sure there are reasons for that, and I have no doubt that you pray, that you communicate with God, talk with God, that you trust in God to lead you and guide you. I would just maybe offer you, maybe nudge you a little bit and say, find a church near you where you can, get some fellowship and support, and you could be of great help to so many people, Elias. God has such a purpose for him that I'm sure he's discovered to a certain degree, and I think there's more yet to be discovered.
Well, you can hear the love in his heart, and if he passes that on to others, think how it just builds up the body of Christ. So it's just beautiful. Elias, thank you for sharing your heart with us today, and thank you for listening to EWTN. Continue to listen, because it's a wonderful comfort for so many. Okay, John in Duluth, Minnesota, listening on Real Presence Radio. Hi, John. Welcome to Take Two.
Hi.
Hi.
So, I just wanted to call in to be an encouragement to police officers that have retired. I retired after about 31 years of police work last June, and I just took the summer off and the fall off to really take a look at what was next for me, what God wanted in my life, how he wanted to use me, because despite the fact that I would have really loved to just be a gypsy and do my own thing and play every day, I know that God has got something bigger and better for me in that. So, again, as I said, retired about a little over 10 months ago, and next week I will be going in to get some training with a friend of mine who's a police chaplain, and I've been approved to be a police chaplain for my former agency as well as some neighboring agencies, again, to minister to the police officers, to make sure that their needs are being met spiritually or just simply emotionally, as well as ministering to the community in times where maybe the officers can't spend as much time on the call as the family needs, in death situations, accidents. I wanted to make sure that I was not just sitting around, not finding anything to do, and still being of value to the kingdom. Leaving police work is very challenging. Somebody spoke earlier about identity, and after being a cop for 31 years, being a sergeant, being a SWAT team member and a trainer for the department, it's a huge change to realize that your phone's not ringing in the middle of the night anymore, and you aren't going out to lunch with the guys and seeing how things are going. So I've just been given a real special opportunity, I think, by God to minister to them in this way, a different role, and yet something that I've been doing all my career is helping people. So
wow, John.
Just want to encourage other police officers in your audience to take a look at what they have for skills and passions and experiences, and realize that they are of extreme value. They just need to be seeking what that new chapter is going to be.
John, Debbie and I'm sure Debbie joins me in thanking you for your service as a police officer, and for doing what you're doing now, wanting to go back and be an influence in those who are just coming up through the ranks. And you already alluded a little bit to something I was going to ask you as a follow-up, and that is the transition for you. And you mentioned, it's, you have the camaraderie, and you're on, and the phone could ring in the middle of the night. And I was going to just ask you about just the psychological part of it, because you're in harm's way as a police officer, maybe potentially at any particular moment. So you have to be vigilant, and you have to be on your guard and so forth. Not paranoid, obviously, but now when you transition from that to, just retirement and civilian life, I mean, is there any kind of an adjustment that was necessary in that regard?
Well, I think that personally, I am still the type of person that is aware and prepared. Not that I'm expecting bad things to happen in front of me every day, but just to know that I am a protector. I am a warrior. I'm God's warrior out there to protect those that need to be protected, whether it's simply my spouse when we're at a restaurant or people on the side of the road that are broken down. It's about Christian love and loving your brother, and making sure that, maybe just handing out that cup of water to somebody in Jesus' name. And that's just how our lives are. But yeah, it's a disconnect, and yet I think that as working in public service and having a servant's heart for all those many years of our career,
right.
It's not something that's going to change. The heart doesn't change to quit serving. It's just a different capacity.
John, you have that servant's heart. And here's the thing. I totally agree with what Jerry shared. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We can't thank you enough for what you did for all of us, keeping us safe all the many years. But now the good Lord is going to use your talents in very, very deep, intimate ways, connecting with other souls where maybe you couldn't have really done that to that level when you were in the active police force. But now you can do that. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to this next chapter that you are in right now. And I pray that you keep us posted, and so we can journey with you, because that's how we learn, that's how we grow, and that's how we can see it through someone else's experience and their connection with other souls. So John, don't be a stranger to Take Two. Please let us know. I just have a really strong feeling, and I think, Jerry, I think you would agree with this, that God has great things planned for John.
Oh yeah, I can sense it. John, thank you so much. Blessings on your day. We appreciate that. Just a quick email, Debbie, and then I know you have something you want to share.
I do. Yes.
We got an email from Eileen, one of our faithful listeners, and Eileen says, I retired 2 years ago, and my request to God was that I was afraid because I wanted to still be able to help others, but on half a salary, I didn't think it would be possible. It is very possible. Somehow it works out every month. Even extra needs are met. Thank you, Eileen. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. We appreciate it. Yeah.
Yes,
good
very
testimony.
much so.
Yeah.
We're getting a lot of emails about this particular product that is available on EWTNRC.com. So we're going to share it again because we're talking about work today. We're talking about retirement, actually, but we're all focusing on work. And it's this wonderful product by EWTN Publishing is Sanctify Your Daily Life, How to Transform Work into a Source of Strength, holiness, and joy. It's written by Pope John Paul II's mentor, Stefan Cardinal Wasinski. And it's what's so cool about this. So listen up, guys. This is really cool. You can learn how to change any workplace into a workshop for sanctity, for yourself and for those around you. How to avoid burnout at home or at the office. 5 steps to praying in work instead of merely praying at work. Big difference. The 6 virtues that work can instill in you when you have the right attitude, office politics and family stresses, how to diffuse them before they do harm, 3 things that cause discouragement at work and how to eliminate them. This incredible product can be yours. Okay, this book can be yours. All you got to do is go to EWTNRC.com. EWTNRC.com. Sanctify your daily life. How to transform work into a source of strength, holiness, and joy. Jerry, am I correct? We got handfuls of emails about this exact book.
A lot of people are interested in that, and again, you'll find it at EWTNRC.com. Okay, we're going to get to as many of you as we can today. Kathy in Battle Creek, Michigan, listening on the Amazon Echo to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Hi, Kathy. Welcome.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome.
Can you hear me?
Yep, just fine.
Okay. I haven't worked for about 10 years. I'm 61, and about 10 years ago, I had to have both my knees replaced. And so I've had those replaced, and I'm doing well now, but I didn't want to go back to work. And luckily, my husband had a well enough job that we could do that. He's getting ready to retire. He was in the Navy 20 years, and then he was civil service for 20 years. So he's retiring at the end of the year. And our biggest dilemma is questioning about downsizing our house. We have a fairly large house and a big yard and a pool, and it's a lot of work. And, you know, we a lot of times question about maybe moving to a warmer climate because we live in Michigan, but we actually love the season changes. Mm-hmm. And, you know, so as far as finances, everything, you know, is in good place. Mm-hmm. We want to do a lot of traveling, and last year, my husband had a heart attack, so that kind of, you know, made us think a lot more about, you know, retiring and, you know, all the anxiety going with that.
Right. Well, Kathy, how's your husband doing now?
He's perfect. He's back to work. He's better than ever.
And you're doing well? Doing well?
Absolutely, yeah.
Good.
I have been volunteering at the church and volunteering at our, you know, just a couple different places. And
okay,
so,
good. Well, okay, so
yeah.
I downsized. Okay, and I'm just talking from personal experience. I downsized after the kids, and I did away with the pool. You know, we live in Arizona where everybody has pools. Went to a turnkey house, and I am the happiest I could ever be. I love not having to do all of the housework and constantly all the maintenance on a big house with a pool and everything. So we love it. We love it so much. We're even thinking of downsizing even more. So if I'm any example of it, Kathy, I would be all for downsizing. That's just me. I know others feel differently, but that's my take on it. How about you, Jerry?
Oh, I agree. It's something I think we all need to. I need to do. I definitely need to do. Is just even though I'm not ready to retire or anything like that. But you know, it's probably a good thing to get started on. You know, well before retirement. You know, so that way you've got a head start and you don't have all that burden of doing that. You know, when that time comes. So, Kathy, thank you so much. And we're so glad that your husband is doing well and that you are too. And we appreciate you calling Take Two with Jerry and Debbie so much. Jim in Folsom, California. Jim, we have about 1 minute, but we wanted to get over to you listening on the Amazon Echo to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Hi, Jim. Got about 1 minute.
Hi, Jerry and Debbie. Glad
How are
to talk to you. I've been listening on EWTN. I'm doing fine. I retired about 11 years ago from a big water company in Oakland, and it was the best thing I could do. I'm so glad I'm out of the rat race, and I've got 2 young boys, ages 5 and 10, and I'm a stay-at-home dad with them.
Nice.
And to be able to be with them most of the time, it's fantastic. So I would strongly suggest to the listeners, if you have the chance to get out early, do it. Don't wait until it's too late. I've seen several of my friends that worked for 30 and 40 years at the same place, and they retired, and within 2 or 3 years they passed away. So it's not worth it.
Right. Well, now you can spend that great quality time with your children. I think it's wonderful, Jim. Just think of all the memories you're creating and all the experiences you're having. I think it's fabulous. And going back real quickly just to Kathy's call about downsizing, that when you downsize and do stuff like that, or you retire, it frees you up. My sister just weighed in on a text and she said, it's so freeing. You've worked for someone else your whole entire life, and now you get to conduct yourself and spend time with those that you love and be able to do the things you've always wanted to do. So that's what you're saying, Jim, and that's what Kathy's saying, and the others as well. And I think it's that makes me have hope for the retirement time. So that's wonderful. I love it, Jim. Jerry?
Thanks, Jim, for the call, and the others. We wish we were going to have time, Dolores and Vicki, and we invite you to keep the conversation going. You can email us at take2@ewtn.com. We had a number of people comment on Facebook, Debbie, including Lori, who's been retired from nursing. There you go, Debbie. Since 2010. She says she's never been happier. Colleen was a nursing assistant. She says it took a toll on me physically, so I retired earlier than planned. So thank you all for your Debbie, my takeaway on all of this is, God has a definite purpose, mission. He creates each one of us for something very, very specific. You believe you're doing what God created you to do. I believe that I am as well. And I've heard that in the voices and hearts and really emotions of so many of our listeners today that, God has been central in their working lives and in their retirements, and God has timed everything, it seems, very, very perfectly for each one of them. So I'm very blessed by what was shared today.
I feel the same way, Jerry. And my takeaway is that we've all been given talents. We're called to give of our time, talent, and treasure. And that happens in our homes. It happens when we go out there into the workplaces. But then it should continue on until we really take our last breath. I'm a firm believer of that, to give of our time, talent, and treasure. And so many of our wonderful callers today shared how they are volunteering at their parishes and their communities and different organizations. Way to go, you guys. You caught the ministry bug, and that's awesome, because like our previous caller said, you're building up the kingdom, and that is what we're all called to do, especially by our baptismal call. So Jerry, this was a great show for me. It really, I feel very excited about the future, and it's wonderful. But tomorrow, Jerry, we've got a very unique show planned for our listeners. We're asking you, what 3 words, just 3 words, best describe you?
Interesting. Are we going to give any teases or no? We got to wait. Got to wait to find out what 3 words
I say we
best
create
describe
suspense.
you,
Yeah, let's create suspense. Okay, give 1 word that describes you, Jerry. Quick. You don't even. He's thinking.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
I could tell you. I'll tell you what it is. Can I tell you?
What's 1 word? Yeah.
I think you're very intelligent.
Oh, that wasn't one that I was going to come up with.
You wouldn't have done that?
I might have come up with empathetic. I think I'm empathetic.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, not
And
pathetic,
I know what you're going to say about
empathetic.
me. I'm humorous.
You are humorous, yeah.
Thank you.
So there you go, everyone. We've wet your whistle for tomorrow. Be thinking about this. Be praying about it. And use positive words too, Debbie. Sometimes people think an exercise like this, they got to come up with, well, I'm impatient and I get angry and all of this stuff. No, God has given you many, many gifts and many, many talents. And so we want to hear, it could be a mixture. Like with me, I'd say one of mine too is impatient. So, there's 2 of my 3 right there, but we want you to think about what 3 words best describe you and share those tomorrow.
And tell your friends about Take 2 with Jerry and Debbie. We'd like to build the Take 2 family. Like us on Facebook, Jerry and Debbie Facebook page. Go to our website, take2show.com. You can comment there, or you can email us, take2@ewtn.com. We love you guys. This is a great Take 2 family. Make sure we keep up the prayers for one another. And Jerry and I just want to wish you a beautiful and blessed day. We'll see you tomorrow.